Hello and welcome to the FilmPulse.net podcast. This is episode number 84. My name is Adam. Today with me we have Kevin. How are you, Kevin?
I'm doing okay.
Okay, I'm doing okay as well. Today we have a great show lined up. First we'll be speaking with director Dan Forer on his new film Sampled This, which is currently playing in select cities and on VOD. Then we'll be going over some of what we've been watching before getting Ernie back on the show for a feature review of Insidious Chapter 2. And finally, we'll be going over this week's movie predictions, new on video on demand, and DVD and Blu Ray releases. First up, let's have a conversation with Dan Forer on his new documentary, Sampled This. Dan, thanks so much for taking some time to talk with us. I want to first just ask how you came to this project of Sampled This.
Well, I heard the sort of the hit that they had, Bongo Rock, on the radio when I was about 13, and I was just curious about the band. I went out and bought the 45, and there it was, and I wondered, who is the Incredible Bongo Band? And I guess the music never left me, so I just did a little bit of investigation, and then I went and bought the album, and they were just always in the back of my mind. But then in about 2005, there was an article in the New York Times that kind of told the story. It wasn't a very long article, but it connected the band and Michael Wiener to the assassination of Bobby Kennedy. And at that point, I just thought, you know what, there might be a film in this. And I started doing some research.
And how much time did it take you to research this?
Well, I started it in the summer of 2009, and I spent about a year, and I've got about, I think, 30 or 35,000 words of research material. So a good year before I started doing the first interviews.
Oh, wow. Okay. So what I'm wondering is how you came to piece all this together, because as a huge fan of hip hop myself, I thought I kind of knew the history inside and out. But I really had no idea that something like this with the Robert Kennedy assassination and the mob and Hollywood and the Charles Manson stuff, like how all that kind of just came together. So I'm wondering, like, how did you come about, like, taking all these pieces and putting them together into, like, one kind of cohesive story?
Well, that was the challenge of the film. I found out all these things as I was going along, and it would have made an interesting film just following me along because of the fact that I thought I had the story down, and then there would be a new wrinkle, and it was like pulling on a thread, and you just keep pulling on it, and it unravels, and it unravels, and it just keeps unraveling. And so it took me that long to sort of get to the point where I thought, okay, I really, I've got the story down and the thread to follow. One of the issues was that really all the information about the Incredible Bongo Band that was kind of out there on the net were from Wiener himself and interviews that he'd given. And, and unfortunately, a lot of what he said turned out to be either embellished. There was a few, half-truths and things like that, and he really didn't tell the full story. And so, and I think that's why, when I interviewed Questlove, he's an incredible fan of the group and of that record, and he thought he knew everything about it. And then I started telling him things, and his eyes got as big as saucers.
That's actually really interesting, because in the film you kind of explore the fact that Wiener would frequently embellish things. Like he mentioned that the Beatles, members of the Beatles, were part of the album and stuff like that, but there's really no evidence of that at all.
Well, I think what I learned about Wiener was there was always a kernel of truth to everything that he said, but he would spin it in such a way to make it a lot more glamorous and exciting than it really was. But, isn't that Hollywood? Mm-hmm. And I think as far as the Beatles connection, my sense of it is that I think there's a possibility, because he was friends with Ringo, and because Jim Gordon was involved, who at that time was sort of a drumming god, that he may have brought Ringo into the studio when he was mixing and played him the stuff and kind of did that and then spun that into that he actually played or participated in the recordings. I mean, I was also told by more than one person that he had visited with John Lennon quite a few times in New York, and he knew who he was, or that Lennon knew who Wiener was, and so again, it's not, those claims are not completely groundless, but I just think, like everything else, Wiener exaggerated it and spun it for maximum publicity value, and so that's kind of my take on it.
Right. So for those that don't know, I think that the big hit from the Incredible Bongo Band was Apache. Now, you mentioned Bongo Rock, and that's actually my personal favorite of theirs, but Apache was the one that really exploded and was kind of embraced by the early days of hip-hop and helped create hip-hop as we know it now. So do you know how many songs use the Apache sample? Do you have a rough number? Because I know it's huge.
A couple of hundred at least. And, I think the part that I find fascinating is that it continues to be used. I mean, it was created in 1973, and here we are 40 years later. And I can tell you, probably right now, somewhere in a little studio somewhere, somebody's fooling around in Pro Tools with the Apache break. And I think that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of that probably is attributed to DJs, and you mention it in the film as well, when DJs started to make records that just contained breaks in order for other DJs to use for mixing and whatnot. And I think that probably has a big part in it. And I have a feeling that there's a lot of DJs out there that are using breaks from Apache and don't even realize that it's breaks from Apache because it's on some other record that has just, tons of breaks on it.
That's absolutely right. And that's one of the reasons that I made the film, because I think it's an important part of music history. And it would be nice if people that used it had some idea where it came from.
So the individual band members, they kind of all met success in doing other projects, but as a whole, as one unit, did they ever make any money from like selling the rights to sample Apache or any of their other music? Well,
I think as far as the musicians go, they were session musicians, and all of them played on dozens, and if in some cases, multiple dozens of hit records that are still played on radio stations and streamed online. And they got paid very, very well. And if it was a union session, they would be getting all their pension and residuals, whatever they were entitled to. But they certainly, beyond that, wouldn't have shared in any of it. But then neither did Michael Wiener, because back in the day, nobody cleared samples. I mean, these and there's stuff out there today on iTunes that are owned by major record labels that have chunks of Apache in them. They never cleared the sample. And it wasn't until very, very recently that they even started paying for it. So, I think the tragedy of it is that back in the 80s when, hip-hop was using this, and in some cases, I mean, there are entire hip-hop tracks that are based on nothing more than the Apache, like an Apache sample. And in some ways it's outrageous what has happened to it. I ran into it myself in the film, where some record company is, demanding that I pay for publishing and all kinds of sync rights for what essentially was something that was stolen in the first place. And so from having made the film, but you see, Wiener was not aware of what was happening in the hip-hop world until probably the mid to late 90s. He was oblivious. He was in the book business, and he didn't know what was going on. And to be fair, back in the day, it wasn't just Apache that was being ripped off, but all kinds of other tracks, and because there was really no mechanism to deal with it. Whereas now, you have to clear every last second or or someone will sue you, and so that's what's changed.
Yeah, and the other thing I guess to think about is the fact that back in the late 70s, early 80s, when sampling first came about, it wasn't a lot of these DJs, I don't think, were making multi-million dollar, paychecks from doing this. It was mostly done at like block parties and things like that. I guess that it really started to become an issue when big hip hop artists like, Nas or somebody would be sampling a track and making millions of dollars from that track.
Yeah, but I think that it happened a lot sooner than the 90s. I think that a lot of it in the mid to late 80s, people were making a fortune off of it. And like I say, it's not just Apache. It's all, there's a lot of other
Right.
tracks, but hip hop played pretty fast and loose with lifting other people's material. And like I say, there are examples of entire songs that are basically just a recut version of Apache, where there's absolutely nothing other than the Apache breaks sped up, slowed down, and chopped up, but I mean, that's not really that's not what the film really was about. It's just more to just let people know, hey, this is where it came from, and I think the Apache break came from a very unlikely source and from a very unlikely place, and I think that's what makes it a compelling film.
Now, what do you think about the state of hip hop today? Do you think that hip hop is a genre that's been constantly evolving since, its inception. Do you think that the genre's in a good place now?
Well, I think, to me, hip hop is a lot like jazz, and that may sound strange, but jazz always had it was always a big tent, and there were a lot of little different sort of subgenres in jazz, and some people would like some of them, and others, for example, Dixieland music is technically jazz, and I can't stand it. I don't consider that jazz. And I think it's the same thing with hip hop. It's a very wide range of music that gets put under that banner, and I think it's like anything else. I think it will keep evolving and changing, but as far as where it's at, in 2013, I'm probably not the best person to ask, but I do think it's a legitimate genre, and I think it's going to be with us indefinitely.
So I have one final question. Of the 4 elements of hip hop, so 5 if you consider beatboxing, which of the elements do you consider to be the most important, A, and B, what is your personal favorite?
My personal favorite in terms of the bongo band?
Just all the general elements of hip hop, so like b-boying, MC, graffiti, DJ.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really hard to separate one and say that it's more important than the other. I think the sum of all the pieces is greater than the individual pieces, right? It's like 1 + 1 + 1 doesn't equal 3 or 4, it equals 6 or 7. So I think, in hip hop, it was strength in numbers, and all those different elements made hip hop much stronger than any one of them on their own. I mean, for me, I think the most important would probably be the sort of the MC rap part of it, because it made social commentary, right? It talked about political things and made people think about things, and so I guess for me that would be the most important if I had to pick something.
Let's do some quick plugging. So again, the film is Sample This. It is playing in select cities now. Is that correct?
Yeah, we're in 15 cities: New York, LA, Chicago, Philadelphia, Washington. It's all, you can find that information at samplethismovie.com.
And it's also, is it playing on demand as well?
It's on demand. It's so look on and Vudu, Amazon, and of course iTunes, and you can also find us on Twitter. Same thing, Sample This Movie, and on Facebook.
All right. Well, Dan, thank you so much for taking some time to speak with us.
Thanks very much for having me on.
Thanks again, Dan. Be sure to check out Sample This, playing now in theaters and video on demand. Let's talk about some of what we've been watching. Kevin, I think we'll start it off with you this week.
All right. Well, I started off with Danger Diabolic.
Yes.
Finally got to see this bad boy. Uh, and my God, was it tons of fun.
Mm-hmm.
It was ridiculous amounts of fun. Diabolic is a huge asshole.
Yep.
He's just a dick,
Yep.
but he's incredibly cool. He's like the coolest dick ever.
I just love how he just steals to mess with people.
Yeah, or it's all for his girlfriend.
Yeah.
It's all for his girl. She's just like, I want an emerald necklace. And he's like, all right, I'll go steal it.
And, you know,
I love at the beginning, he steals, what was it, like $10 million in cash.
mm-hmm.
Steals it at unbelievably filmed scene at the port, which is just amazing the way that they did it. The whole opening and then into the port sequence was just fantastic. So he takes the money, and I love how he takes it back, and his lair is just ridiculous. I don't even know, like how the hell did that happen? Who built that for him?
I don't know.
So he gets back and he's going to put it in the safe or whatever, and I love how it just cuts, and they're like, he'll find something to do with the 10 million that we've never thought of. And you just see it, and then it cuts back to Diabolic, and he's like, you just know the light switch goes off in his head. And then it cuts to him just throwing all 10 million on the bed and just having sex with his girl. Just a pile of $10 million.
I love it. I think it's just, and I love how when he steals the emeralds or whatever, the way that he gets them out is he turns them into bullets and shoots somebody with them. I mean, come on.
And then later goes to I don't know what it would be, the morgue or whatever, the coroner's office or whatever, in disguise as an old man, as the guy, what's that called? God damn it, I can't think of that word. What's that called when you have that done to your body?
Autopsy?
No, where they incinerate it.
Oh, cremate.
What? Yeah, Jesus Christ. Has him cremate the body, knocks the guy out, steals the emeralds. And I love the little sequence when he's still walking out in disguise with his cane and everything, and then just halfway through realizes that he doesn't need to do this anymore and just throws the cane away and just starts running.
I wish that they made sequels to this. Like, I want more of this. Just his crazy shenanigans.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous what he does. And there's really no point to any of it.
Yeah, and that's the best part. The best part.
Other than just being an asshole or a reason to make his girl happy. That's it. But I love it. He steals what, like 20 tons of gold.
Mm-hmm.
Just steals it. Rips that shit off, takes it back to his lair, melts it down with his laser gun, and then has a whole setup to hose it up and to shoot the gold into molds. Mm-hmm. And I love it. His little outfit for it.
Yeah.
his girl, she's a little apprehensive of this suit, and he assures her that he could swim through the middle of the earth in this suit. Cut to him flipping down the little plastic face mask, which doesn't even cover his face. It doesn't hook in or anything. It just flaps it down, and there's a huge gap. So, he's going to die if he comes in contact with anything hot, but he doesn't.
You thought that he did.
You thought, and then he gives you a little wink.
Yeah.
Spoiler. But no, he totally dies because there's no way he's getting oxygen. I mean, what are they going to do?
Well, apparently if the suit has so many gaps and holes in it, he probably has plenty of oxygen.
Well, maybe his body turned into gold.
Well, I guess as for people that haven't seen it, what happens is due to a mishap, he ends up getting encased in the gold himself.
It's a literal golden shower.
Yeah, yeah. And the gold hardens, and he's basically like a living statue.
Mm-hmm. And he's stuck, and he gives you the camera a little wink. But, he's just left there. So
Well, I'm sure his girlfriend came back and
no, dude, she got arrested.
I know, but she probably got out
No,
somehow.
I
Well,
like to
the
think
thing,
that he just died. He's
well,
just in that cave still.
the thing about his girlfriend is she's not just like the eye candy. She actually does stuff in the movie too. So
True, true.
she's kind of a badass too.
And I also love the sequence when he has to go to the gangsters, the crime syndicate, and they're in the jet plane because they stole his
Hmm.
girl, and they open up the doors to drop him out of, and they're just like standing beside him, and I'm like, oh, that's you guys are idiots. He's just gonna grab you.
Yeah, and he
He's
does.
just gonna, he's just gonna throw you guys out, and he does. Ah, diabolic as dick, but a
Yep.
cool dick.
I love the I love Mario Bava's cinematography and his colors that he uses in his movies.
Yes,
I just thought everything looks so good in that movie. I just love it.
it does. Plus, Ennio, the score is just
Oh yeah,
it's perfect. Morricone is a fucking master. Absolutely loved it. It's good times. Highly recommend that. It's just a fun entertainment film.
yeah,
But like you said, surprisingly, there's a lot of good camera work in it.
yeah, yeah. It is.
And then I watched 1948's The Naked City by Jules Dassin, which, if you recall, we talked about this sort of.
I was gonna ask if it's related to the
Yeah,
TV show.
the TV show was inspired by this film because the TV show ran from 58 to 63. This came out in 48. So this is when we were talking about that documentary that you saw Casting by,
Mm-hmm.
where, everyone got their start. So I checked this out, and it's odd because on one hand, it's essentially a documentary, just like a slice of life of New York City. Everything's filmed in New York City. They actually use a lot of like hidden cameras, like a lot of stuff for like the street scenes. They
Mm.
had a van with cameras in it set up, and they would just, drive around the city and sort of capture people on film. So they have all that going on. It's sort of like a city symphony film, just in the lives of New Yorkers at the time. But then, like nestled inside of that is a detective story. So they sort of merged the two together, and it's the detective story is it's 1948, so it's a little hammy and cheesy because that's just how the way things were done at that
Right.
time. I mean, it's enjoyable enough. It's entertaining enough, and it does. There is a really the performance from Barry Fitzgerald as the detective lieutenant Dan Muldoon. He was a pretty funny guy. It also features the dumbest criminal I think I've ever seen. They bring this guy in, and he just lies constantly. Like every word out of his mouth is a lie, and they check. Of course, they're detectives. They fact check all the things that he's saying, and just like as soon as he says it, they're like, "Yeah, that's not true." And then they tell what's the truth, and then he follows it up with another lie, and then there's another detective there. It's just like, "Yeah, that's not true," and he just does it the entire movie. He doesn't learn to stop lying until well towards the end of the film, and it's hilarious, just the mess that he gets himself into. But the number one thing about this film is the cinematography. The black and white cinematography of New York City is just absolutely stunning. I mean, the aerial shots at the beginning are probably some of the best aerial shots I've ever seen. There's a scene towards the end where they're chasing the one criminal on the Williamsburg Bridge,
Mm-hmm.
and he climbs up the bridge to elude the police officers. And I don't know how William Daniels was able to do this, but he gets a lot of just absolutely gorgeous camera shots from high up on the bridge from the criminal's perspective, looking down at the police, which was just absolutely amazing. But the one thing that is extremely detrimental to this film, which is sort of a bummer, is the narration is just obnoxious and irritating the shit. And it's from the film's producer. He provides the narration, and
Mm.
this film was sort of like his love letter to New York, is that he wanted to make this so bad. And I feel bad saying that that was the absolute worst part, but he provides so much unnecessary narration that it just becomes extremely irritating. I mean, he's filling in like just the random New Yorkers that they capture. Like he fills in their thoughts with his narration. And there's a sequence where the cops are going around with a picture of the criminal that they're looking for and showing it to people. And I mean, they do like 14, 15 scenes of this where it's just, one of the detectives showing a picture to random New Yorkers. And the narration is honestly every single scene. He just goes, "Have you seen this man? I'm sorry, excuse me. Have you seen this man?" And it's like, do you really need to be doing that? Like, I know what they're doing. You're annoying. But I highly recommend it. It's pretty unbelievable, especially from a camera work angle.
Yeah, it sounds like this is something that I would probably like a lot.
Yeah, I think you would be really into it. Oh, my next movie was a little mystery crime thriller type deal called The Silence.
I've wanted to see this. I just haven't got around to it, but
I've
I've been interested in this one.
I've been interested in this one for a while now too. Finally got to see it. This actually came out in like 2010, but just got released on DVD here in the States not too long ago. I think it was just a couple of months back.
Yeah, it was pretty recently.
Yeah, it's about uh like two friends that are pedos that the one kills and rapes a girl, or rapes and kills a girl, and then 23 years later decides to stage the same exact crime scene, sort of as a message to his partner that after the first crime was committed, just disappeared, just got the hell out of there. 23 years later, he decides to send him a message, see if they can reunite, and it's pretty damn formulaic. I mean, of course, you have the cop that was on the original case who is now just retiring, and of course that case ruined his marriage, and it was that typical case that forever haunts him, that he couldn't catch
Right.
the killer, just couldn't do it. And then you have the new guy that's on the case who, of course, just lost his wife. He's completely grief stricken, and he's just like an absolute mess emotionally. And I mean, he's a very bizarre character, almost a parody. It's a bit ridiculous how over the top he is. And there's just so much going on here that fits the formula of these films. But the director, Boran Bo Odard, just jam packs so much in here that nothing really feels developed at all. He just lightly touches on all these different topics, loss, guilt, grief, all those things. And it's
Was
just,
this? Sorry to interrupt. Was this the one that was kind of? I think it was this one. When I saw the trailer, it made it seem like it was kind of almost a dark comedy. Is that this one?
I don't know if that's this one.
Okay.
If it's the trailer that you're speaking of, there's not much comedy in it. At least I didn't think so, unless I just don't find those things to be funny. I don't think they were really.
Probably not. Then maybe it was something different.
The other thing that sort of bothered me is the director and the cinematographer, their use of slow motion was just excessive, just entirely too often and too much for too long. And you get the sense that that was the only way that they knew how to film drama. You know, oh, we need this scene to be powerful. How can we do it? Oh, I know, slow motion. Let's do it in slow motion. Like every other scene is in slow motion. And it just, after a while, you're like, oh, fucking knock it off already. Now, on the other hand, they do a lot of gorgeous overhead shots, which you don't really see too often anymore.
No, not a lot.
And
It.
they nicely paced those. They sprinkled those throughout, and they worked really well. It's just there's just so much dramatic slow motion, supposedly powerful sequences that just came off as like you don't know what you're doing. It just all of it was extremely underdeveloped. But the ending a little bit different. I'm not going to spoil it because
No, because I probably am gonna watch
it
this.
is it's still like a very light recommendation. I mean, I like a lot of the stuff that they did in this film, and I'm definitely excited for more films from this director. But there's just too much going on, and not enough of it is developed at all.
Hmm.
And it's just, I mean, the story itself is, you've seen it numerous times before. It's your typical crime thriller mystery, sort of lackluster, but some nice camera work in there. And then I watched an absolute masterpiece, which was quite nice. I watched a 10 out of 10. Watched a little samurai movie called Harakiri.
Oh yeah.
You need to see this fucking movie. I cannot highly recommend this enough. From 1962, Kobayashi's Harakiri, starring the master, Tetsuya Nakada. This guy is insane. He's so damn good, and he's incredible in this film. Much like another one that you have to see is The Sword of Doom. You should see, double bill those. See The Sword of Doom, and then see Harakiri, and just have one of the best days of your life. Because it's going to knock your fucking socks off. I can tell you this now. Now, this is a unbelievably perfectly constructed story of revenge that it's such perfectly paced that I was honestly on the edge of my seat the entire time. Like, my face was beaming with excitement, just waiting to find out what the hell happens. And almost the entire film is just discussion, just talking. Nagada comes to the house, whatever you want to call it, I forget what the hell they're called, but it's where the clan is, and he wants to perform harakiri, which is, disemboweling yourself. He wants to do it in their courtyard. The guy that's in charge sort of recounts the story that someone just did this, a couple weeks ago. Came in, wanted to do it, and there's been a rash of these happening over the last couple of years where people come in, they want to do the harakiri. They show such great resolve that they actually are taken in and given employment, or they're given some money to just go away. Just get out of here. We don't want people performing harakiri all the time. So this house decides that they're not going to be like that. They got to show backbone, and they got to force this guy to perform harakiri. So he gives that story, and then Nakada is like, I'm actually here to permit harakiri. I'm going to do it. And then he starts to recount his story, and just the way that it plays out, apparently, the first guy that came and did that, and they forced to do the act, was indeed married to Nakada's daughter, and he's not really there to perform harakiri. He's there to fucking kill everyone. And just the way that it plays out, and like the final scenes are just, it's unbelievable. It's so good. I can't say it enough. I can't highly recommend it enough. This movie is unbelievable. And it's a shame that it took me this long to see it.
Well, there's so many of these that I have not seen that are on my list of shame. Like, just a ton. Like, I've never seen Yojimbo. I don't think I've seen Hidden Fortress. There's just so many.
There's a lot, but I'm telling you, this one has to be one of them. Just the way that it's constructed, the way that everything unfolds is just brilliant.
Now, how did you watch this?
I watched this on Hulu because I have Hulu Plus, so I was able to watch it there. I don't know if you can watch it for free on Hulu, but I mean, it's unbelievable. They sort of do the Rashomon style, where it's like told through a series of flashbacks, and they sort of unveil the reasonings behind what's going on, and just sort of unearth everything slowly. And just the style of revenge that Nakada unleashes is perfect. I mean, I lost my shit. I haven't lost my shit in a movie in a long time. I had so much damn fun watching this film. It was unbelievable. Like I'm saying, you gotta do double feature this and The Sword of Doom, because they both feature Nakada as like a crazy badass, and you will not be disappointed. I assure you.
This week, that's all you had?
That's all I had.
Okay. This week I started off with The Iceman, which is the one that just came out recently with Michael Shannon.
Now, I was interested in seeing this as well.
I liked it. It wasn't like anything mind-blowing. It was kind of a typical biopic, but it was still pretty interesting. I liked a lot of characters that were kind of against type, like David Schwimmer was in this.
Yes.
And he plays this like really sleazy scumbag like mob guy.
You said David Schwimmer, right?
I did say David Schwimmer.
Are you sure?
Yep. Yep.
Huh.
Definitely against type for him. And Chris Evans plays another hitman he was pretty cool too, his character. Ray Liotta is in it, he is definitely not cast against type.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, he plays a mob guy.
No. Are you serious?
Mm-hmm.
Is that I wonder if that's the only work he can get nowadays.
Seems like it.
That's unfortunate.
Definitely seems like it. Winona Ryder, because he does it so perfectly.
I know.
You know?
He's got to start saying no, but I guess he's got bills to pay.
Yeah. Winona Ryder's in it. She plays the wife of Richard Kuklinski.
Klinsky?
Yeah. She does a good job. I want to see more of her. I really like Winona Ryder. I just wish she was in more stuff.
Yeah, I thought she was making a comeback there for a little bit. It seemed to die
I think she is making kind of a comeback, because I think that she's in something else that I saw a trailer for recently. I can't remember what, but I know that I saw a trailer for something.
She was in it.
Yeah, Stephen Dorff.
Stephen
Dorff is in it too.
She was in the Homefront.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, that's right. Homefront. One with James Franco. But either way, I mean, it wasn't anything great, but I was still entertained by it, and it was just kind of crazy to think that this is like a true story. Like, this guy really did kill like hundreds of people.
He sure did.
And then I followed that up with Bronies, the extremely unexpected adult fans of My Little Pony.
How did this go?
It was interesting. I mean, this was kind of a curiosity watch. Like,
Liar.
We talked about this last week, and I just had to see for myself what this was all about and try to understand it.
Are you missing anything?
I understand it more now. I do.
Is there something that you're missing?
I think that it's kind of interesting to watch, because you can start to piece together the type of people that like that show, and essentially most of the people that like My Little Pony, the guys that like it, they actually are missing something in their lives. And I think that it's kind of interesting. It's almost like a character study that looks at who these people are and why they like this show that's essentially for little girls. But I enjoyed it. It was fairly interesting. I mean, it's a light watch, obviously, but doesn't mean I'm going to start watching My Little Pony.
Nah. But you queued up all of them, didn't you?
Gotta start. Yeah, that's right. I have them all on my Netflix queue.
You're watching them right now, aren't you?
But I think it's interesting because there's like so many people that just immediately dismiss these guys as either being like nerds or perverts or, something like that. And it's really not the case. And I think that this movie does a good job of showing people why they like this show and that, they're not weirdos.
So why?
I mean, they're kind of weird, I guess. But
no, they're definitely are. Like, why do they like the show?
Well, I think that there's different reasons. It seems like the trend is it's guys that kind of feel lost in the world. Like the one character is extremely antisocial. He has Asperger's, and he just has this inability to communicate with others, and he feels really awkward in social situations and stuff, and he can't really relate to anybody. But when he watches the show, there's specific characters in the show that he can closely relate to, and that kind of makes him feel better.
Okay.
And that seems to be the case with a lot of the people that they talk to in the film, where it's always people that are kind of outsiders. But it's really interesting. Like the one guy that they talk to is from like North Carolina or something, and he's like in this big redneck town, but he's like into My Little Pony.
Huh. Maybe they're not so weird.
I think that it's just people that are looking for something. And the other kind of interesting thing that they talk about is the fact that the show is kind of about acceptance and friendship and happiness and joy. And these are all things that we don't have a lot of these days, you know, with the constant wars that are happening and the economic downturn, and everything is just looking so grim.
So My Little Pony's here to save the day.
I don't think it was meant to do that. I mean, in the film they talked to the show's creator, and she was like, "Yeah, I was making it for little girls." There was this odd byproduct that came about because of it.
But there's a lot of stuff out there that's just happy, fun acceptance that doesn't involve little ponies with rainbows.
Yeah, but if you see this show, it's like it takes that to the extreme. Like, it's so saccharine. Like, I can't. I mean, it's not my thing, but, you know, whatever. Then I saw, obviously, Sample This, and we briefly got into it a little bit in the interview, and I liked the film, but I just kind of wish that he explored a little bit more the actual topic of sampling and the effect of sampling on the industry, and maybe got some feedback from the Incredible Bongo Band members on their thoughts on the practice of sampling. Because he touches on it in the film, but they don't really get into it that deeply. And I understand that the movie's more about the Incredible Bongo Band and how they came together and basically helped create hip hop, but I would also like to know about the concept of sampling and how they feel about it.
Yeah.
But I'd still definitely recommend it, especially if you're into hip hop, like old school hip hop. And in fact, if you're into hip hop and you don't know the history behind it, I would say watch this, because I think anybody that's into that genre needs to know the history behind it.
Agree.
Then I saw my Grindhouse Weekly feature called Screwballs.
Screwballs.
I believe this was my first Canucksploitation film. Exploitation from Canada.
Oh, yeah.
This is basically a goofball sex comedy that took... Well, it was made in the 80s. It came out in 83, but it took place in the 60s. However, there's like a lot of inconsistencies with the time period. Like, there's a scene where they go to a drive-in, and it's a... I can't remember which one, but it's a Pam Grier movie that's playing that clearly came out in the 70s. So it's not very consistent, but the movie itself is horrible. It is absolutely horrible. Like, it's just about this group of guys that are just constantly trying to come up with ways to see girls naked or possibly get laid.
Gotcha.
And it's not like Porky's where there is that element, but there's like other stuff. Like, this movie's just scene after scene of them trying to do something. Like, they'll bury themselves in the sand and try to like get this girl to lay on the beach and take her top off. Or like at the end of the movie, they built this giant electromagnet and then they sewed metal filings into a girl's homecoming dress to rip it off.
Sure.
There's a scene, one of my favorite scenes in the film was the school built an airplane repair shop.
Okay. That makes complete sense. I'm with you. I'm still with you.
And during the like ribbon cutting of the airplane repair shop, they have this kind of gala, and one of the guys accidentally dumps an entire bottle of Spanish Fly into the punch bowl.
Oh, I hate when that happens.
But my favorite part of the entire scene was the fact that the high school built an airplane repair shop. I mean, it didn't make any sense whatsoever. I didn't understand it at all. But it's pretty bad. I mean, they use like fast motion scenes, like Benny Hill style.
Nice.
Do
they use the Benny Hill music?
No, they don't. But they use really bad 80s music. Actually, no. I think in that one they did use like older music, but
even better.
I also watched Loose Screws, Screwballs 2.
Why did you do that?
Well, when I write those articles, I
That's
usually
right.
watch.
You're doing for a little bit of.
Yeah, I watch everything in the series just because I don't want to miss anything.
Did you miss anything? Did you miss anything?
No. Loose Screws is basically a remake of the first one. It's the exact same, but it takes place in the 80s. And instead of, like, there is this kind of through line in the first one where they're trying to compete with each other to see who can see this one girl naked first. Like, basically the school that they're at, which is called TNA High School, every girl in this school is apparently a huge slut. Like, every single girl. And there's one virgin that goes to the school, and she's like this like super preppy like church going girl.
Good
and they're trying
shoes.
yeah, like the whole movie they're trying to either sneak their way into her pants or see her naked. And in the sequel, it's the 5 main guys get expelled from their school and get sent to this other school, and there's like this super hot French teacher that they're trying to make it with.
Oh. So apparently it's the new school called Coxwell Academy.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Classy.
It's the sequel's even worse than the original. It's just absolutely terrible.
Great.
But yeah. So I would probably skip those. There's a lot of movies like this. There was a ton of movies like this that came out in the 80s, and there's a lot. I mean, even like Fast Times at Ridgemount High. Like, just watch that because it's infinitely better than Screwballs. Then I saw Crystal Fairy, which is the first or second movie with Michael Cera and Sebastian Silva that came out.
Yeah.
I guess they did them both at the same time. This and Magic Magic. I liked Magic Magic. I didn't like this one so much. It was just kind of a manila folder, this one, where nothing really happened. It's basically about a group of people in Chile that decide to get this, what's it called? The San Pedro cactus, and go out into the desert and take it. And the San Pedro cactus, I guess, is one of the main ingredients of mescaline or something.
Okay.
And I guess it causes hallucinations and stuff like that. And along the way, they end up picking up Gabby Hoffman and taking her. And she's a free spirit, I would say.
Free spirit.
Her name is Crystal Fairy.
Of course.
And she's kind of a goofball, and she's like super annoying, and she gets on their nerves, but then they end up really liking her, and it's just kind of pointless.
Does she
like,
teach them how to live life?
Sort of, yeah.
That's good to know.
I guess it just doesn't go anywhere. It's just kind of pointless. They just go out into the desert and trip, and
it sounds boring as shit.
It's not that funny. Like, there are a couple funny parts, but it's just not that. I mean, Michael Cera plays a super asshole, sort of an asshole in it, which he apparently is really good at playing that type of character.
He does play a really good asshole.
And that's the thing about this movie. The performances by Michael Cera and Gabby Hoffman are really good. I mean, like, really, really good. But there's just not a lot of substance to the movie. There's also one scene towards the end of the film where after they take the San Pedro, they start like tripping, and Gabby Hoffman, she's naked like 90% of this movie, like completely full frontal naked.
Mm-hmm.
And she takes off all her clothes, and she's just like wandering around in the desert. She gets lost, and some guy comes and picks her up and takes her back to the camp. But whoever they got to be this guy is the worst actor in the entire world. I don't understand why they got this guy, because he is so bad. Like, it instantly pulled me out of the movie.
Wow.
And, acting is never really something that bothers me too much. But, yeah, so it's not really, I can't really recommend it. I do recommend Magic Magic, the other one.
Okay. All right.
Then I saw Computer Beach Party.
This sounds like the greatest film ever made.
I know. I don't know if I'm going to use this as next week's Grindhouse Weekly, because it's similar to Screwballs. But this movie it's definitely so bad it's good.
Nice.
It is unbelievably horrendous. Like, there's this really bad dubbing that happens throughout. But basically, it's just cashing in on the teen sex comedies of the 80s, along with the, popularization of personal computers. And then we have Computer Beach Party.
Wow.
From 1987. It's just probably, you could probably find YouTube videos of it, and I would just recommend watching some YouTube videos because it's so ridiculous.
Computer Beach Party.
Yeah.
From Gary Troy.
Yep. It's something. If you love bad 80s comedies, this is it.
Oh,
I mean, there's this really terrible 80s rock playing throughout the entire movie, and then there's a big party scene that has the band in it, and it's just so bad, and they like sing to the camera. It like turns into a music video. It's horrendous, absolutely horrendous. And then finally I saw Brooklyn Castle, which is a documentary about this middle school in Brooklyn where they have basically the world's best kid chess players.
Okay.
It's like it's a public school. It's IS 318 in Brooklyn, and for like more than a decade they are just constantly winning every tournament that they enter. And an interesting fact is Albert Einstein, when he played chess, he was rated like an 1800 or something like that in chess. If he were to join the team at this middle school, he'd only be ranked 5th. These kids are like chess prodigies. It's crazy.
Nice.
And I'm not into chess, really. So it's saying something that I was like completely into this movie the entire way through. I thought it was so interesting. The kids were really likable and endearing, and you just were rooting for them the entire time. And it's interesting because the film starts before the whole collapse of the economy.
Mm-hmm.
And they go to I think 3 trips throughout the school year, in addition to having this like really big after school chess program. And after the economic crash, the school begins getting these crazy budget cuts. Mm-hmm. And it's that adds this whole aspect of the film, a whole new aspect where they're trying to keep their funding for the chess program. They're trying to be able to still take the kids on these trips around the country and stuff. And it's very interesting. And I didn't know this, but in New York, you actually have to test into high school. Like, you have to, if you want to go to a good high school, you have to take an admissions test. Which I didn't know that. Like, because there's so many kids, and there's certain public high schools that are considered like the top level public high schools. And if you want to get into one of these top level public high schools, you have to take this like entrance exam and get admitted.
How about that?
Which, that's extremely stressful for a middle school kid. These are kids in 8th grade that we're talking about. But
thank God we didn't live in New York. We would have been screwed.
Oh, yes, we would have been screwed. We would have been really screwed. But either way, I definitely recommend checking this out. It's very, very good. And every time I think that I'm completely burned out on documentaries, something comes along like this, and I'm just like, oh, that's incredible.
Nice.
Yeah, it's really good. And the crazy thing is, these kids are so fucking good at chess. Like, it's amazing. Like, the one kid, he's in 6th grade, and he's ranked a master in chess.
Wow.
I mean, that's incredible.
Wow.
So, Brooklyn Castle, check it out. That's all I got. Oh, one thing that I do want to add, I didn't watch it yet, but I just got Repo Man on Blu Ray this week. The Criterion Blu Ray. So I'm going to watch that today. Pretty excited. Let's talk about Insidious Chapter 2. Ernie, thanks so much for coming back on the show.
No problem.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing pretty good. So, Insidious Chapter 2 is directed by James Wan. It's written by James Wan and Lee Wanell. The synopsis states, the haunted Lambert family seeks to uncover the mysterious childhood secret that has left them dangerously connected to the spirit world. The film stars Patrick Wilson, Rose Byrne, Lynn Shay, Barbara Hershey, Lee Wanell is also in it, and Angus Sampson. Now, I have a review for this up on the site, so I guess we'll start with you, Ernie. What did you think of Insidious Chapter 2?
Well, not being a fan of the first, I wasn't expecting much from this one, and I kind of liked it a little bit more than the first, but there are so many plot holes in this one that I couldn't get past that. And coming off The Conjuring, this is like a step backwards for James Wan.
I think that most people will agree with that it is definitely a step backwards. I love The Conjuring. But see, I really liked the first Insidious. I was a big fan of the first Insidious. I was not a big fan of this one, however. I think that the first act was pretty much an exact retread of everything that we've seen before. And I didn't think that it was as effective. I didn't find it to be as scary than in something like The Conjuring or even the first Insidious. And I just found that whole first third to be pretty dull and kind of laughable. But
I ran into a problem where, because I haven't seen the first one since I first saw it in theaters. I guess that was last year it came out, or was it 2 years ago?
I think it was 2 years ago.
Okay, so none of this was fresh in my mind, and it took me a long time to catch up to what was going on here. All I think it is like Lynn Shay got possessed or something? I was like, oh, wait, she got killed. Oh, it was Patrick Wilson who got possessed, and I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait a minute. I'm confused. It's like, oh, there's something, he left behind something? I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, I forgot all that. And that was like maybe 45 minutes into the movie before I realized it.
Yeah, I think that and then of course they had that beginning part with Rose Byrne being interrogated by the police that was sort of like the expository section that let us know what happened in the first one, or at least bits of what happened in the first one, and I thought that was kind of lazy. And I just didn't like it for the first third. And then when the second act started and they introduced a really big twist, I thought that was really interesting. And it did kind of devaluate the events of the first one, which I think that some people may have a big problem with. But I
like explaining too much of the mystery. It's like
right. But I thought it was actually really cool what they did with it. And I thought that it was something different. You know, like in my review, I point out that when they were making this movie, that it had to be a tough movie to make, because you want to make it different enough so that it's not the exact same movie again. But at the same time, you want to at least kind of keep within the same universe that the first one was set in, but you don't want to stray too far from the source material, because then people, the audience will complain that it's completely different and not scary. And I think it was really tough to put this together. Unfortunately, it was like they did a rehash of a lot of what we've seen before, with a lot of jump scares and just kind of random creepiness. But then they also tried to introduce this kind of new concept with Patrick Wilson being possessed, and it almost turned into almost like a slasher film of sorts, where he's like coming after the family. And I didn't think that it worked in the third act either. It was really just the middle part of the movie that I liked.
Yeah, there are elements where they tried to tie it into the first. Of course, most of the stuff that they referenced in the first one I didn't remember. So I'm like, oh, that must have been for the first movie. Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
I vaguely remember that part.
Yeah, I mean, they lift like scenes from the first one and put it into this one, and I liked that. I thought it was really cool, actually. But
the whole tie-in with the explanations about the spirits and just the whole arc of that was, for me, it started getting unintentionally funny.
Oh yeah.
And then the way things were unfolding with the friend with the dice, and one scene in particular, I'm like, involving the dice. It's like, I don't think I'll be spoiling much, but basically there are three people involved. One person is in a house, and the other two are listening in, and they're trying to figure out what's going on with Patrick Wilson's character, and he checks the dice. Now the guy sees it, but the other two guys react as though they know what it said. I'm like, but he didn't verbalize what it said. So how would they know to react?
I was hoping that he was gonna yell out the safe word, the quesadilla.
Yeah, but that didn't happen. I'm like thinking, it's like, wait, he didn't say anything. How do they know something's wrong? But then the way that whole thing just unfolded was just like straight out of the Keystone Cops comedy. But I'm like, so.
Well, Lee Wanell and Angus Sampson's characters, they were in the first one too. They were the paranormal investigators that worked with Lin
and they
Shaye.
were my least favorite part of the first movie.
I actually liked them a lot in this one. I thought that they added some much needed actual comedic relief. I thought that a lot of the scares and the supposedly like really creepy stuff was funny, but it wasn't supposed to be. Like,
I felt like the comic relief in the first one was out of place. It didn't need comic relief. I guess it didn't really. I guess it kind of worked in this one. But...
Well, they were definitely more goofy in this one, and I feel like that they played more prominent roles in this one. And obviously, I'm not going to give away the end, but I don't think it's a big spoiler in saying that they're going to be the central part of the next film. And the way that the film ended, that was problematic for me as well, because they give you this. So the film ends, and then they give you basically a teaser of what the third one's going to be, and it's a completely separate story and everything. The only tie-in is the Lee Wanell, Angus Sampson, and Lin Shaye characters. But I realized when I saw that little teaser at the very end that concept seems way more interesting to me than the entire movie that I just watched. And
I got a little confused at the end because there's a significant plot point that comes up at about around the third act, a major discovery that they came across that is never really addressed throughout the rest of the movie. It's pretty significant in terms of reality of what should have gone down. And I thought that was tying in there where they're actually talking to people, family members involved. Mm-hmm. And I thought they were going like visiting the people and saying, it's like, hey, we got a message for you from so and so. I was thinking, oh, they're going to be tying up the loose ends. And like, no, this is something completely different. I'm like, wait a minute. I thought they were talking about a dead girl, and then nope, there's a debilitated girl sitting in a wheelchair. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm confused. And I'm like, oh, this is something else. So they're not going to address that whole thing. I'm like, okay, that was stupid.
Yeah, unfortunately, it was just a mess, really. I mean, it was all over the place, and it's a real shame because, I mean, this comes out, 2 months after The Conjuring? Mm-hmm. And the expectations for this were just so high, and it was just such a letdown. And I'm really hoping that if James Wan continues this series and The Conjuring, I know that The Conjuring's already been set up for the sequel. Like, I think that's already underway. Right. And looking at the box office numbers, I'm sure that they're going to be following through with the third one on this as well. But it felt played out. Like, the whole thing just felt played out to me.
Yeah, there was like really trying to twist things around just to make it cool instead of it making sense. So, but I would actually prefer that he stick with the Conjuring stuff because there's a lot more interesting things to mine there than how they ended Insidious 2. I would be like, whatever. I had no desire to see the next one.
Well, if they go in, it looks like they're going to go in a completely different direction with the third one. And I like the idea of having a horror movie that has comedic elements, and it's just about, two guys doing these, investigations. I like that concept.
It's been 20, 30 years since we saw it, but we could always use another Ghostbusters. So.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that could be a cool idea as long as they don't keep returning to the same well on it. I mean, got to come up with something new. Because I'll tell you, it all feels played out. And that's the thing I'm worried about with the Conjuring sequel is it going to feel played out? Because the atmospheric jump scares and that type of thing, it's just starting to get old. I mean, thank God it's not found footage, even though there were a lot of scenes in this one that were with like handheld cameras and stuff like that. But, which actually reminds me, like the whole time I'm like thinking to myself, because first they go to an abandoned hospital for some reason, and I'm like, where is there an abandoned hospital that's like that has everything in it still? And why are they at this abandoned hospital? Like, it just seems ridiculous.
There was the Linda Vista Hospital out here in Los Angeles that I actually shot in, and everything is still there.
That's weird.
Files, everything, you name it, everything is just left there. We were like, right while we're like sitting around, we just rifled through old, like, some of these files dated back to the 60s.
It's crazy. But it seemed like it was just an excuse to get them into a creepy place. And then directly after that, they go to an abandoned house that still has everything in it. And, it just seemed like they were fishing for creepy places to have different scenes. And I just really wasn't buying into that.
And also the fact that it's a PG-13 supernatural ghost story movie. I mean, after The Conjuring, it's like that's what you want, and then instead of this watered down stuff. Yeah.
I mean, they can do PG-13 right. I mean, the first Insidious was PG-13. Drag Me to Hell was PG-13, and I thought that Drag Me to Hell was fantastic.
Yeah, I wasn't too big on that one either. And I love Raimi.
I think that they can do PG-13 right, but I just found the scares in this to be so goofy. Like,
they're pretty standard. I mean, especially with the title card and just going in with the title Insidious and the super freaking loud soundtrack.
I like that.
I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. Like, you can turn it down now.
I like that. I mean, I'm fine with that. They did that in Drag Me to Hell too, and the first Insidious. But I'm okay with that. But some of the stuff I did find, I will say that there were a couple scares in it that freaked me out a little bit. I don't even know if I can remember them off the top of my head. The scene, and what I found was that there were a few scares that initially worked, but like kind of blew it in the end. Like, for instance, the scene where there was the spirit that was talking to the kid through the phone, the can phone thing.
Oh yeah.
And the string was like in the closet and was being pulled tight. Like that, I thought that was really creepy. But then, like, when it was just a messed up looking girl that walked out, it just, I don't know, it didn't work for me. And the other thing that I thought was weird about that was when the ghost or the spirit was initially started talking to him, it was through the can. But then all of a sudden, like, the voice changed and it sounded like it was in his head or something like that. I just wanted, just be consistent. Come on.
Yeah, just thinking of it now as we're talking about it, like, for some reason I just thought about Poltergeist 2: The Other Side. I'm like, oh, this is the other side.
Pretty much.
That's where they're hanging out. That's like, it's like, we got to go in, get Carol Ann, get her out of there. Nope, I got to go in and get my dad. Let me tie this can around me. And like, oh, hey, yeah, he's Joe Beth Williams' part. And then they got to go in there. And it felt, the whole introduction of Lynn Shay's character felt as cheesy as, I don't know if you remember Poltergeist 2 at all, as cheesy as when Carol Ann's grandmother appeared in the ending. Like, I remember everybody like, oh, geez, that's so cheesy.
Yeah, it was pretty cheesy. Well, I do want to talk about some spoilers, because that twist, I want to just discuss that. So let's go ahead and jump into some spoilers for Insidious Chapter 2. If you haven't seen the film yet, make sure you fast forward through this part. We'll be sure to have the time code in the show notes. So we are in a spoiler section now. I just want to talk about the fact that apparently when you're in the Further, you can time travel. And it didn't really make any sense to me at all. I mean, I guess what we're led to believe is that when you're in the further,
It's the no, we don't call it the further anymore. Call it the Nexus.
when you're in the Nexus,
It's a Star Trek Generations reference where you're in a dreamlike state and you can go to any time you want.
it's like, I guess when you're in the afterlife or whatever, all time exists concurrently. So basically in the film, Patrick Wilson is stuck in the further, and
Right.
he somehow has the ability to go back in time to when he was a kid, and also to go back into time during the first one,
Right.
in which it's revealed that it's actually Patrick Wilson that is causing a lot of the disturbances in the first film.
Right.
But it just doesn't make much sense to me. I think it's cool. I think it's a really cool idea. But a lot of it doesn't make too much sense, especially when they reveal in the first one that it's like this demon that's causing all the problems. Like,
Yeah,
where,
the Darth Maul looking one.
yeah, where's this demon at when he goes back?
Right.
in this
I was totally expecting to see more of that. I was expecting him to be the villain, but then they were going back to the Bride in Black, or I don't even remember if that's what she was called in the first one or not. But I think that's what they called it in the second one. Yeah, and now it's just strange how they're like, oh, it's like, oh, so he's actually there, and I'm like, isn't that like blow Einstein's theory that you can't be in two places at once?
Yeah, I mean, it's... And then, of course, there's the scene when they first reveal it where they do a freeze frame on the VHS tape and they see Patrick Wilson standing there beside the younger version of himself, or behind him.
Yeah, that's another problem with the editing of that. I remember that shot, and you see Wilson, but then I saw someone on the far right of the frame, and I was like, oh, who's that? Because I'm like, I don't remember anybody being on that side of the room. And then I guess it's meant to be the mother was just hanging out over there. But I'm like, she was like over there.
Yeah, I don't know.
She would have been in frame. I'm like, who was that? I was like thinking, it's like, oh, but that must be the spirit that he's talking about. So, but I'm like, nope, another state of confusion there.
I did think it was... I thought it was cool, but I feel like it kind of overcomplicates everything. Because a lot of it doesn't make sense to begin with. Like, going back to the demon in the first one, that thing is mysteriously absent, but... And maybe I just don't remember the first one too well, but...
Yeah, I thought they'd had to go through a red door to finally get to that guy, didn't they, in the first one?
I don't remember.
Because I remember the red door from the first one, and I remember going through there to get to that black and red demon.
I just don't understand where he's at. And like, so they did show the woman in the first one, and she comes back with him. I guess she possesses him before he gets back into the real world, but it's not really her. It's her son dressed up as a woman.
Mm. And the woman is now, because her son is in Patrick Wilson, she's basically sticking around with him.
Yeah, and she's like telling him to kill everybody for some reason. Oh, that was that was the other scene that I thought was really creepy, when they moved that bookshelf and there were all those dead bodies sitting there.
Yeah, and that was the discovery that was bothering me in the non-spoiler section, where they make that discovery of all these 15 to 20 victims all just sitting there decomposing, and they never, after that discovery, they never go back to address that.
Right.
Everybody who was killed by the bride in black was discovered in the house, and it's like all these mystery, and it's never once addressed throughout the movie. It's like suddenly we found the bodies, and then Barbara Hershey and company run off to make their plot to capture Patrick Wilson. Like, did anybody not report this to the police?
Yeah, exactly. when I was watching this in this theater, my girlfriend leaned over to me and she's like, why are they not calling the police immediately? I was like, I have no idea. You find 15 bodies in a house, you're calling the cops.
Yeah.
Right away. I mean, that was kind of weird.
Which is one of the things that I thought was tying into the ending, where in the end I thought that they were going to be going door to door
to the families
of those victims to say we were actually in touch. And then I saw Lynn Shay show up. I'm like, oh, so that's how they're doing it. she's talking to the victims, and they're gonna sit over, set these people at ease, and and then the ending when it's like, wait a minute, I'm confused. It's like, who? Because I thought, oh, Allison, that was the girl, one of the girls, and then no, she's sitting there in a wheelchair. I'm like, wait, what? I'm a little lost.
So it seems like essentially the third Insidious Chapter 3 is going to be like the Frighteners. It's exactly what it's going to be like.
Yeah. You could definitely say that. And the two clairvoyants have somebody on the other side, and they're going to be fighting ghosts on both sides of the fence, I guess you could say. But for me, I probably really could care less about that angle. I'd probably be like, man, whatever.
I think it's a cool idea. I like, for some reason, I like movies like that, like Constantine. Like, everybody hated that movie, but I liked it.
I liked it.
I don't know.
I would have liked it more if I wasn't cut out.
Oh, you were in that?
I was the club scene where Keanu goes through this nightclub to go talk to Jaimin Hansu.
Right.
Basically, there's a whole club scene going on, and one shot, I'm literally right behind Keanu. If he had moved a few inches left or right, I would have been right there. And then I saw it, but there was an entire sequence that was cut out of the movie. It was like a demon rave, essentially. There was like makeup effects all over the place, and like people in ornate costumes and walking around with snakes. And I don't know if you remember Matthew McCrory, I think his name was. He was a really tall guy, slightly deformed. He was in House of a Thousand Corpses, and
was he the guy in the original Hills Have Eyes?
I don't know. He's a younger guy. I think he was in his 30s. He's passed away since. But he was a really big guy, and if you see his face, you'll recognize him. But he was in it, and I was like talking to him for a while because it was like a bunch of like circus type freaks are in the shot. But he never made it into the movie. So I'm like, oh yeah, I guess that whole scene was cut out. I'm like,
is that in the DVD features or something?
No, not even in the bonus content either. So,
do you have any final spoilers to add regarding Insidious?
Not necessarily, except to say it'll be probably beneficial for you to see the first one before going to see this one, because like me, I totally forgot almost everything in this movie. And I was lost for a while before I started to catch on, and I don't even think I caught on to everything that I should have.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get out of this spoiler section. We are back. Final thoughts on Insidious Chapter 2, Ernie?
Not being a fan of the first, and really liking The Conjuring, and then this, as I said, this is a step backward, and so this is probably not the kind of supernatural horror you want to see. If you love The Conjuring, it'd probably be a good idea to skip this one.
I would agree, unfortunately. I gave it a 5 out of 10, and I feel that was really generous, just because there were some concepts that I did like, and there were a couple scares that I thought were somewhat effective. What are you going to score this out of 10?
Yeah, I'd probably only give it about a 4.5. Mostly for the things that I kind of found interesting in it. If I didn't find anything of value, I probably would have gone 4 or lower. But there are a few things in there that I kind of liked. Okay.
Well, there you have it. Probably skip Insidious Chapter 2. Normally with horror movies like this, I say see them on the big screen, because when I rewatched the first Insidious at home, I didn't find it nearly as scary. And I know that part of that is just because I already saw it, but I was like maybe a year removed when I saw it the second time, so I forgot a lot about it.
Right.
But just watching movies at home like that, just you don't get the same effect. But
no, not just that, just also audience too. So
well, yeah, that's what I was going to say.
I saw the opening numbers was like 41 million, but when I went, the theater was not even half full. So. Well, and that was afternoon.
When I went, it was packed, and it was packed with preteen kids, and it was the whole time I'm thinking this is going to be a nightmare, because they were all on their phones, they were talking real loud. For some reason, they kept getting up and like moving seats and walking down the aisles and leaving and coming back, and I was just like, oh fuck, this is going to be shitty. But it didn't. It turned out to be fine. with a movie like that, it's okay. So yeah, I would say probably skip Insidious Chapter 2, unfortunately.
Yep, I'd probably say wait for the next supernatural movie to come out, and I don't think there is any more this year. Or is there?
There's one that we're going to be covering, I think maybe next week, called Dark Touch, and that's a supernatural movie. I don't know too much about it, but we will have more coverage on that next week. And there might be a couple other ones sprinkled in here and there.
I know there's no paranormal this year. Not that I'm waiting for it.
No, no, who cares about that anymore? That's going to be bad. But
Yeah.
all right, well, I think that wraps it up. Ernie, thanks so much for coming back on the show.
No problem.
All right, let's go ahead and jump into some predictions. Last week we said Insidious Chapter 2. You said 58, I said 52, actual 37. Ouch. Yikes. The Family, you said 36, I said 42, actual 33. Yikes. I didn't see The Family, but, I just don't care. Nope. All right, next week we have Enough Said, which is the one with James Gandolfini and Julia Louis-Dreyfus. What are you thinking?
Enough said. I'm gonna go like a 64.
I haven't heard too much about this. Doesn't look too bad. Looks like could be kind of funny. I'm gonna say like 68.
Dick.
Then we have Prisoners. This is is this the one with Hugh Jackman?
Yes.
It looked pretty.
Yeah, I can't wait to see this.
I think it looked pretty good, but I heard some mixed things out of TIFF.
Yeah, it's a little bit bizarre that Villanueva's doing a sort of like mainstream movie. Have you seen Incendies yet?
No,
You got to see that.
I don't think so.
You need to see that.
I'll say 76 on Prisoners.
76 on Prisoners. I'm gonna say 70.
And then finally we have Battle of the Year.
Oh yeah.
What are you thinking on this one?
Oh man, Battle of the Year. I'm gonna say like a 46.
I'm going to say 32. Battle of the Year. Limited release, we have Newlyweds.
Okay.
I heard some pretty good things about that. Parkland, I actually want to see that too. A Single Shot is hitting select cities. COG, which is the David Sedaris one.
Okay.
You a fan of David Sedaris?
I've never read anything from Sedaris.
Never read it. He's pretty funny.
Never read any Sedaris.
Pretty funny, so I'm mildly interested in it. It looks a little kind of cheesy, but I don't know. +1, which I also have a mild interest in. I Spit on Your Grave 2 in select cities. After Tiller.
Didn't you love that?
Oh, I loved it. It was, oh man, so good. After Tiller, The Short Game, Zootopia, which we'll have a review for that one up. Weekender, which we should also have a review up. Weekender I think that came out like several years ago over in the UK, but it's just coming out this week for some reason. I think it came out in like 2011.
Wow.
It's about the rave culture, like when the whole rave scene started.
Well, don't you think they sort of missed their opportunity there?
Takes place in 1990.
Okay.
It's not a documentary or anything.
I know, but
I think the star of it's the guy who plays Cookie on Skins. So that's what has me interested.
just saying, like, if people really like, God, I would love to see a rave movie. You remember Raving? That was awesome. Let's
love it.
Let's do a rave movie.
I don't know. It got like an 8% or something on Rotten Tomatoes. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's gonna be terrible. I'm gonna tell you right now, it's terrible.
Well, we'll find out next week.
Don't
I think I might be reviewing
What's
it.
wrong with you?
Video on demand for next week. We have Zootopia, +1, Blue Caprice, COG, and Weekender. So a lot of the stuff that's hitting theaters this week is also coming out on VOD.
Okay. All right.
DVD and Blu Ray releases, we have The Bling Ring.
Oh, yeah.
You gonna check that one out?
I really don't want to.
You probably will.
I probably will. God damn it.
Disconnect, which is
That looked terrible.
looks like kind of looked like Crash,
Yeah.
but like with the internet.
Oh, man. Oh, yeah.
We have The East, Scenic Route, Simon
By
Killer.
the way, what are your thoughts on the East now? Since you're the week removed.
Oh,
Has it
I
dropped?
didn't think about it.
No,
What did I say? I don't remember what I said. A 5. I'm probably still
You-
say a 5.
You barely forget everything about it, don't you? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't really remember anything.
Exactly.
Scenic Route, which I do recommend checking that one out. Simon Killer.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, we did interviews with the director of Scenic Route and Simon Killer.
I would say that's like a light recommend.
Yeah, I mean it was okay.
Yeah.
It was fine.
A little different.
And World War Z, which I'd say rent that as well. It's pretty decent.
No thanks.
Surprisingly decent.
No thanks. I want nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
Did you
Well,
say Beyond the Candelabra?
Oh, is that? I must have missed
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, that's coming out. I want to see that very bad.
Yeah, definitely check that one out. That one's good.
And the only other one I'm seeing is The We and the I, which I thought that came out a long time ago.
That had a really weird. I don't know what happened with that. Like it didn't. I don't think it came out in the States at
Yeah,
all.
I think
Like I don't know.
whatever, that's coming out. So
I liked it.
see that.
I-
Yeah, I'm pretty excited for that to finally
I mean,
come
I-
out.
Like I don't think it's for everyone, but someone that just loves New York stories, I kind of liked it. And like Kevin, I don't know if you'll really that. I mean, essentially, it's just a bus of like high school kids talking. That's pretty much the entire movie.
I'm definitely interested.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go.
Criterions.
2 Criterions, 2 Blu-rays. First one is Slacker by Richard Linklater.
Oh yeah, I saw this. Bet you're excited for that one.
Slacker happens to be one of my most hated films of all time.
I remember when they first came out with the Criterion DVD of Slacker, and I had never seen it. And I was so excited because this was during the time where we were just in love with Linklater, and I ordered it and I got it, and it had like a really awesome book with it, and I popped it in and I watched it, and I was like, what is this? This is the most boring thing I've ever seen in my life. The acting is so terrible, and the camera work is bad.
I remember I tried watching this. This was during a time when I was like, I'm gonna give Linklater a chance. I'm gonna let him back into my good graces. I'm gonna go with Slacker. It's supposed to be pretty good. I think I honestly made it 10 minutes, if that. And I'll never forget. I audibly said out loud to the TV, I said, "Oh fuck you," and turned it off. That's how angry I was at this film.
The interesting thing is like Slacker, that was like his movie. That's what like that movie was like so influential because that was like right when the whole 90s indie scene started blowing up with Tarantino and Kevin Smith, and like that also kind of put Austin on the map, and that was like when Austin started becoming like a big film mecca.
And what they're staying true to that tradition of Linklater. Moving on, the second one is Autumn Sonata from Ingmar Bergman, 1978, which is perfect because it's autumn now.
Yeah, there you go.
So I if I had to choose between the two, I would go with Bergman. Slacker, I would maybe buy and burn it.
I feel like no, never mind. I was gonna say I feel like I need to give that one another chance, but I'm not.
See, there's a part of me that thinks I should do that too, but no, I'm not gonna make excuses anymore. Slacker was fucking terrible. I hate it, and it pisses me off. Fuck that movie.
I am gonna give you a homework assignment to see the other.
Damn it.
Before sunset and before midnight.
I think I can handle those.
I just want to know.
That'll be the trade-off. I'll watch those two if I never had to watch or discuss Slacker ever again.
I think that could be arranged. All right. Well, I think that'll wrap it up. For all the latest film news and reviews, visit us at filmpulse.net. Send us an email feedback at filmpulse.net. Follow us on Twitter at filmpulsenet. And be sure to rate us on iTunes. We appreciate that very much. For filmpulse.net, my name is Adam.
My name is Kevin.
And we will see you on Thursday for Ryan Watches a Movie.
Tonto!
it just came off as complete bullshit, trite, just fucking terrible.